how do you feel after 15 years of living in Japan? Is it home? Are you treated differently, or are you just like the same when you got off the boat, or do you adapt? Or do you how does working for you?
Well, I definitely do not feel that I fit in. But that's okay because I never really felt that I fit in America either.
Okay.
I am kind of a loner myself. I've got a pretty hard head, as many people know. I've got my own way. So what I've done most of all is, I suppose, adapt.
Yeah. That's a bit tough. I mean, if you're your own way and your ways, how do you adapt?
Well,
has that been really tough for you?
I don't think it's been so much tougher as it would have been anywhere else, really.
No.
It's more of a question of just making sure that people respect your space and your way of doing things. I'm definitely not a person that can be micromanaged and get good results from. So if people were knocking on my door trying to demand that I get into the community activities and all of that rubbish, they would not be happy with the results.
So you're not going to stand on the street corner waving through.
Oh no, I'd be happy to do that.
Oh, okay.
But because that has a meaning, like passing out the community flyers and things like that. Japanese just really load themselves up with a lot of unnecessary extraneous stuff. But if I was asked to do something that would contribute to the safety of the community, well, that'd be a different story entirely. I can see the value of that.
So, Zoro, why is it that you joined JT in the first place?
Well, I think I was looking at news online and just stumbled across the news site. And I was very interested in presenting my opinions. I felt that a lot of people were just messed up on some things, and I felt the need to straighten them out.
Isn't it different people on the forum than on the news site?
Back at that time, there were many people on both, but
so the news carried over onto the forum.
Right. I ended up getting very interested in the forum because there are more stable and reasonable people on the forum, whereas the news side can be filled with a lot of angry trolls.
Okay. What keeps you here on JT? Why do you stay?
I stay because of all the places that I've been on the net, all the different forums and things. This is the most reasonable and intelligent group of people that I've found. So I feel that discourse here has some value.
It's a high compliment you're paying to the rest of the forum.
Easy to pay.
Zoro,
it seems to me, listening to you talk about the U.S. and saying things like, I did my time there, and based on also your posts on the forum, it seems like you might be a bit of an anti-American. Is that the case?
Well, no, not at all. There's so many things that I love about America. Sometimes my love might be tough love. I certainly expect more from those that I love than those that I don't love. But I do have a lot of problems with a lot of the concepts that are floating around in America. Americans these days can be very strongly opinionated, which I am, of course. So I can't say too much about that. But I think it's okay to be strongly opinionated if you've really got your opinion together. And what I find is that people just don't have enough reverence for having their opinion together, yet they are opinionated, and that's very frustrating for me. I think Americans need to be more reverent. They need to be more understanding, more tolerant, I suppose, is a good word.
Like be able to back up their opinion? Is that what you're saying? Or understand what they're talking about?
They need to listen.
Okay.
Listening is a skill that I feel is really going downhill. There's too much of a sense of I want to win the debate.
Okay. What would you say to people that say you did something, you did something?
People who say that I don't listen.
If people would, I mean, you're saying that you're a bit.
I'm partly guilty. Yes, I am partly guilty. But
what makes different than other Americans that are kind of that way, opinionated?
Well, I can't really look at someone and tell where they've been, what they've done. But it seems to me that I've done an awful lot of listening to get to this point. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to hang out with old people.
Okay.
And I did a lot of listening and acquired a lot of wisdom from others before I got to be as opinionated as I am. You have to follow the steps. You have to follow the order.
I don't follow. What do you mean?
Well, I think people are too impatient. In America, in particular, I mean, it could be anywhere, but I just feel a lot of impatience.
Do you see any difference like between American posters on J forum as others? Do you see the stereotype in our posters?
Well, that's an interesting question because I don't really know who is from where all the time. But I suppose a good example would be Blidstepik from Australia, who is trying to avoid the confrontation. And he's someone whose opinions I really do respect. We have some bitter arguments about a couple of things, but his calm approach, I think, really contributes to his being able to understand things very well.
Let's talk about pedophilia. It seems like if you're getting a bad reputation at all on the JT forum, that it's about this topic. So if somebody asked you, how do you feel about pedophilia? Is there an answer that you can give that won't have people screaming and running away?
There probably isn't.
So what does pedophilia mean to you?
Well, I go with the straight psychological definition because it's the only one that is consistent, fair, and makes any sense. Pedophilia is the sexual attraction to minors, where especially prepubescent children, where prepubescent children are the main focus of their sexual desire.
Right, and I was just listening to a podcast this week where they talked about pedophilia, and they mentioned that being a pedophile means just that you're attracted to, or you enjoy the company, perhaps, of younger people. Not necessarily, or not even that you have had any sexual relations with them. So you cannot have even touched a child, but just liking them makes you a pedophile. Does that sound right?
Yes. I don't think it's wrong, but it's certainly not the point of contention
Right.
or anger.
So what is the point of contention?
Well, the point of contention is the sexual desire, of course. But to me, it's really just like any other sexual desire or attraction. People have an instant problem with it, but I don't. I don't think there's anything inherently dangerous about it, and I think it's the same as any other sexual desire or attraction. If no one is being harmed, if you cannot prove harm, then you cannot rationally have a problem with it.
I suppose there are cases where, people get screwed up in their adult life. They get screwed up, and then people say, "Oh, it was this sexual experience you had when you were a kid that has scarred you." And of course, you can't really show that until they become adults. So how would you prove that there's no emotional damage there at a young age?
Well, you can't. And you also can't prove that what scarred them was the sexual experience. Some studies have shown that the problem is not the sexual experience itself, and I don't see how it could be. I don't see how a sexual experience can automatically be negative. What has scarred the children in most cases is their feelings about what other people think. For example, if mom found out and she's freaked out, watching your mother freak out is going to have a tremendous impact on a kid that cannot be just written off. Any time that my mother freaked out about anything, it had a tremendous impact on me.
Is that your dinner?
Oh, that's my heater.
So then, is there anywhere where you draw the line? What is what is wrong? What is right?
Well, I draw the line at harm.
Okay.
That of course is the most important thing anytime in any kind of anything you do with anyone. But to keep it about sex, for S&M would be a good example. People engage in some pretty risky behaviors in S&M. But if no one is harmed, then where is the basis to prevent them from doing that?
Well, one could make the argument that, say, playing with like an infant, the infant doesn't see any harm in what's happening. The infant doesn't know any better.
Right.
How do you distinguish that?
Well, it's a very difficult thing to establish when is there harm, when is there going to be a harm. And there's no perfect solution. Because infants could be playing with each other, so you really don't know. But my easy solution would be to just stop the government from regulating people's sexual behaviors, or banning sexual behaviors, and instead leave that up to parents